of the Woods, Tim O'Brien demonstrates how denial is human nature as means to shield oneself from the truth of identity. This is evident through the character's denial and repression throughout each individual plotline. John Wade exhibits these traits of repression not only to propel his career, but also to survive. We've reviewed the entire book and selected certain scenes we felt captured this major notion.
Sorcerer thought he could get away with murder. He believed it. After he shot PFC Weatherby, which was an accident, the purest reflex, he tricked himself into believing it hadn't happened the way it happened. He pretended he wasn't responsible. He pretended he couldn't have done it, and therefore hadn't. He pretended it didn't matter much. He pretended that if the secret stayed inside him, with all other secrets, he could fool the world, and himself too.
We felt that this quote perfectly represented the essence of our thesis. O'Brien writes that John, the sorcerer, pretended that he could not have been responsible for the death of the soldier. This made it easier for John to live without regret, in addition allowing him to run a campaign with no guilt. Although this twisted solution to a serious dilemma is considered wrong, it's in our human nature to protect ourselves from things we cannot face.
Other marriages might go stale, but not theirs, because the law of averages had suspended, or they were suspended above the averages, a few elections to win, and then a few more, and then they had the beautiful lives they wanted and deserved. They had wagered on it. They had bet the baby in her stomach, but then the glow had gone away, and they had lost very badly, and apparently they were still losing.
This is a new form of repression that we have not yet discussed. Kathy slowly realizes that the perfect lifestyle once planned is soiled, and that they are slowly drifting in opposite directions. Yet, Kathy chooses to deny that their marriage is falling apart because she loves John so much. What are they firing at?
At the enemy, sir.
At people?
At the enemy, sir.
They weren't human beings?
Yes, sir.
They were human beings.
Yes, sir.
Were they men?
I don't know, sir. I would imagine that they were, sir.
Didn't you see?
Pardon, sir?
Did you see them?
I wasn't discriminating.
Did you see women?
I don't know, sir.
What do you mean you weren't discriminating?
I didn't discriminate between individuals in the village, sir. They were all the enemy and they all need to be destroyed, sir.
John is not the only character in the book that demonstrates repression as a coping tactic. Callie knew that the villagers were not the enemy, yet to cover his actions, he villainized all of them. In Callie's mind, his actions are justified, although to the reader, his actions may seem corrupt. Callie's interview responses parallel many other characters throughout this book, only further providing evidence of one choosing denial to protect themselves from the truth of identity.
In the weeks that followed, because he was young and full of grief, he tried to pretend that his father was not truly dead. Late at night, in bed, he'd cradle his pillow and pretend it was his father, feeling the closeness.
"Don't be dead,"
He'd say, and his father would wink and say,
Well, hey, keep talking.
and then for a long while they'd discuss the right way to hit a baseball, a good level swing, keeping your head steady and squaring up your shoulders and letting the bat do the job. It was pretending, but the pretending helped. In his heart, despite the daydreams, John could not fool himself. He knew the truth. We chose this scene because we see John repressing the notion that his father is dead. This one traumatic event in his life opened the door to a continuous denial later in life. This becomes John's easy way out for his hardships. In The Lake of the Woods, Tim O'Brien demonstrates how denial is human nature as means to shield oneself from the truth of identity. We hope you now understand the essential idea of this novel and why it is important to know.
Yay!
Yeah!